Hello and welcome back to the winner's bracket of the Alliance Tournament 14 between the Afterlife and Exodus. Afterlife has brought 2 Balgorns in a start, a Rook, an Augurer, a Pontifex, a Blackboard, 2 Manticores, and a Nemesis.
While Exodus has their Flag Bal, Astarte, Navy Harbinger, Brutix, and Brutix, with an Augurer, Blackbird, Purifier, Hound, and Cruor. Very similar looking teams here. Afterlife bringing double Balgorn. They're opting for a mix of 4 guns, 4 newts on each. Just looking at the setups here, Maud, give me your take. What are you thinking?
So Exodus is obviously opting to have 1 link probably on the Navy Brutixes and the Harbinger, and then some on the Astarte. Meanwhile, Afterlife is going to favor more points onto the Battleship Core. They really need to get those Balgorns on top of the team of Exodus. Otherwise, those newts and those guns won't be brought to bear, but Exodus will not allow it. They're already webbing off those Balgorn before they can close to range. That's going to be the power of these officer webs.
Yeah, right now, the Augurers are trying to keep up the Blackbird, taking a little bit of damage here, but it's interesting to me that Afterlife would warp in at range. Exodus warped in at range too. They're in more of a kiting setup with the Beam Harbingers and the Rail Brutixes trying to apply damage and put damage on Afterlife, trying to see if they can kill any of their support wing, but it looks like right now the fights are just going over both Blackbirds.
Yeah, we can see that Afterlife has won the jam war initially. The jams that you see on screen are only jam attempts, but we don't see any jam attempts back onto Afterlife, indicating that they're most likely jammed out. Afterlife probably had a better sensor strength, maybe possibly sensor boosters that allowed them to get those initial jams, but Exodus is primarying those Blackbirds anyway to try to get them off the field. So
this is a very positional matchup here. The Cruor of Exodus, as well as the Flag Bal piloted by Mr. Black on Exodus side, are both trying to screen out Flaffy Waffy and Pandy, the double Balgorn pilots from Afterlife, and they're just kind of back and forth right now, sitting here, and they're testing out each other's tanks. This Cruor needs to be careful, though, because he's at range, he's webbed down and nosed, and if these jams come through on the Augurer, we could be, they could be losing a Cruor.
Yeah, the jams are coming in late, and even with the reps, I don't think it's going to be enough to keep him up. Maybe he can make a hero save at the very end, but he's dipping into low hull.
I think it's, oh, wow. That is, oh, finally down. Back and forth, First Blood going to Afterlife, and, you know, it's kind of interesting to have the Cruor out like that so close to the other Balgorns, because if it gets webbed down, it's going to take damage.
I really like this Exodus primary. They've broken one of the Nemesises on top of Afterlife, the reps from the Augurer only being the Tech 1, logistics, and not being able to keep the Nemesis up. It's kind of a weird choice that you would choose a Nemesis, a 2-point bomber, instead of a 3-point or 3 low slot hull, rather. Much better tank.
So all 3 Balgorns are completely caught down in the middle, with Mr. Black holding down the Afterlife's Balgorns of Faffy and Pandies, and it looks to me like Exodus is actually going around the left side of the arena to try to get behind the back line of Afterlife. Now, Exodus wants to do that because with their Navy Brutixes and their Navy Harbingers, if they get to the back line, they're going to get close to the Manticores, they're going to get close to the Blackbirds that have no way to defend themselves. And if those 2 Balgorns are completely locked down by the Flag Balgorn of Exodus, they're not going to be able to help peel for their team.
Yeah, this is definitely a very high-level matchup. There's going to be a lot of situational and positional play. Both sides are going to be looking to get whatever rep drones are on the field off, but it looks like the Balgorn is now counter-webbed by Mr. Black.
Yeah, it looks like all the Balgorns are just sitting there in the middle, and the Augurer on Exodus side taking a little bit of damage, but we're also seeing a little bit more damage applied to the Blackbird here. It seems that the Exodus BCs are slowly getting into position and are pushing away Afterlife's entire support wing, which is trying to move out of the way of their incoming fleet. So it's going to be interesting to see is, can Mr. Black in his Balgorn hold up under the other 2 Balgorns that the Afterlife has fielded long enough for Exodus to move their 3 Navy battlecruisers into the backline of Afterlife and try and kill some of their support.
Now, if Exodus can actually break this to start, it's going to be an excellent trade. It means that the links will be off the field. It means that the Augurer for Afterlife will be that much less effective. But one of the Navy Harbingers for Exodus is a Raxel Nightblade, a pilot I'm very familiar with from the Alliance Tournament 11, is going down into low armor.
The issue with moving this far behind is if you get out of range of your Astarte, or if that is, if you get out of range of your Augurer, or if that Augurer is currently nosed and it has ECM all over it, you can drop ships. And if you're at the fall-off bonus, you're suddenly taking a lot of damage. This Navy Harbinger is, down, webbed and nosed by Afterlife Balgorns.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of beam damage, presumably. They're going to be fitting beams for the long-range damage. Meanwhile, one of the Manticores is into low armor, a little bit of hull bleed, and they really need to get that kind of bomber damage off the field or mitigate it at the very least in order to be able to keep their upper-level shibs alive.
As we've seen with this Navy battlecruiser comp, once you start losing Navy battlecruisers or bleeding them, it's really, really difficult for that team to come back and eventually win the match. And Afterlife is holding really strong here, only dropping a Nemesis to the Cruor of Exodus, but that big Navy Harbinger loss on Exodus side with absolutely nothing to show for it on Afterlife is going to be a problem, because as the jams start to stack up, as Exodus loses ships, it's going to be more and more difficult to get anything accomplished.
Yeah, we can see that the Navy Brutus is neuted. He's going to have trouble keeping his hardeners on as a result. We can see that the Balgorn on Exodus is neuted as well. He won't then be able to counter web and counter newt on top of the other Balgorns that are putting the cap pressure on top of him. And once this Navy Brutus dies, if he does die, it's going to snowball everything in favor of Afterlife. And this Augur is in low armor for them, but I don't know if it's a worthwhile trade.
If they can kill the Augurer, it may be okay, but again, I would be primarying and focusing the Rook and the Blackbird, if possible, to try and get on top of them, just because while killing the Augurer is nice, it's not going to stop these jams from stacking up. That Navy Brutix going down now, that's going to hurt Exodus greatly.
Yeah, that's a lot of their remaining damage off the field, and with that, the Augurer might be able to keep it up. You can see all the rep drones on camera on top of him.
Yeah, if this Augurer holding up for as long as he can here, it's so low in structure. Can he do it? Heating away, still target painted. Oh, it is so close right now. Exodus is just begging to get this off and down, because hopefully then they can start working on the jams, because not only, if this doesn't work for them, not only does Exodus get very close to losing the match, but they're also going to lose flagship Balgorn, which is going to be horrendous for them if either team moves on further in the tournament.
Yeah, this Augur, he's just surviving on a prayer. He's now fallen, so what Exodus needs to do, they have less points remaining, but they have a lot more damage remaining on their team. What they need to do is they need to kill the Blackbirds, kill the Rooks, and then keep the Balgorns at range with their own Balgorn, and then keep the rest of their line out of the range of the Balgorn's primary damage.
Things have gotten a little crazy in here. I'd say Afterlife playing so well, spreading jams across everything that they need to be. Right now, another Hound going down for Exodus. Afterlife picking off all of these very weak and caught-out ships right now on Exodus side. Their Augurer, like I said, Afterlife playing very smart here, just nosing out the Augurer because it's really, really fast cycle times. It's not going to be able to get those reps across. So even though Exodus has killed the Augurer, Blackbird down, that's going to be huge. Afterlife is going to feel that. It looks like now Exodus is starting to work on the Rook. Can they get it down?
Unfortunately, Exodus just isn't being able to get their lock on the Logi. And now another Purifier goes down. With only 5 ships remaining on Exodus, it's that many less ships that Afterlife has to actually jam.
And yeah, right now this Rook still looking pretty good. It seems that Exodus is looking to go after the Astarte, which I think is the wrong call. It seems now that they're maybe focusing on Mana Core. DPS split all over the place. That's not super good, but the battlefield has gotten pretty messy with ships all over the place. Exodus is now webbed, their Augur is now webbed down now as Afterlife Balgorns are finally moving away and are not completely shut down by the flagship of Exodus. This is, there's the Mana Core down as well.
Meanwhile, one of the Augurs is into low armor, and if they lose this Augur, I think they've lost the match.
Completely. I am very, very concerned right now with the amount of EHP that Afterlife still has on the field. Even if Exodus does manage to pull this Augurer from the dirt, are they going to have the ability to kill all that EHP and come back?
I don't believe so, no. 2 Balgorns are just too bricky, and they're eventually going to win on points. We only have 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the match. They're now trying to primary one of the Astartes or a Rook, it seems, but it's going to take too much time to claw through that HP.
Finally, the Rook's taking a little bit of damage after they were back and forth on the Astarte for a while, but, you know, going after the Rook or maybe the Pontifex was a possibility earlier, just because the Pontifex is going to be providing additional links as well as the Astarte. But again, the Rook and the Blackbird playing absolute havoc over these last 4 ships that are left. It seems that Exodus lost out on an initial jam war and were unable to capitalize when they had the other 2 Balgorns from Afterlife held down. Afterlife, you know, upon seeing that, they've really consolidated well. They've done everything they needed to do, picking off all of the light, small ships that Exodus is bringing. Afterlife playing this perfectly.
Yeah, Afterlife is playing this excellently. I mean, many of their new recruits have come from what was the old Gorgon Empire and then the old Darkside team. So you have Fafi Wafi and very many experienced Russians who have a lot of tournament wealth and experience that they can bring to the table. So with the Astarte now dropping for Exodus, that's going to be their links off the table. A Blackbird is in low armor, and I don't know. Exodus right now, they just want to keep their Balgorn alive. He's not tackled. It's neuted, though, and he doesn't have his micro warp drive on. That Balgorn just needs to get away and try to survive so that coming into the losers bracket, he can bring that for the rest of the team's run.
Yeah, I think it's going to be difficult for the Exodus Balgorn to live. He's not anywhere near an MJD beacon. He probably does not have an MJD himself because a Balgorn needs those med slots for webs. They need it for everything. And right now it's 54 seconds and you have a Balgorn at half armor. I just don't know if they're going to get away with it. I think Exodus, the only thing that they can do now after basically conceding this loss is going to try to see if they can pull the Balgorn out. But Afterlife being very smart, switching to it right away, full damage on, and I don't think he's going to live.
Yeah, that was absolutely methodical, very precise, surgical from Afterlife, just picking apart Exis, knowing exactly what to jam and how to play that matchup, then breaking the Logi so that Exis couldn't survive merely on their drone rep bots. And with that, the Balgorn is down. I'm sure it's going to be a very expensive one. They won't have enough time to kill the Navy Brutix, but they don't care. Exis, without that flag Balgorn, going down into the losers bracket earlier than I think almost anyone would have predicted.
Yeah, big upset here, but Afterlife strongly showing their very, very strong contender. They dealt with a very positional matchup excellently. They held strong. Their double Balgorn comp, Faffy, Waffy, and Pandy playing excellently, even though they were held down at the beginning, kind of threw a wrench in their plans. But you know what? They just went to plan B and still took it right to Exodus. Did very, very well protecting their Rook and their Blackbird for as long as they did. And as the game went on, those jams just became oppressive.
And with that, Exodus is going to have their Afterlife in the losers bracket. And I'm going to send it back to the desk where we have Men and Zarvix Torval waiting you.